board meeting to order for March 24th, 2010, 8:30 a.m. in the morning. I want to thank everybody for being here at the earlier meeting for the facilities meeting. So with that, we'll get right into letters of communication.
The communication file is not available for today's meeting. We'll make sure we follow up on that.
Okay, approval of the board minutes for January 19th.
We don't have any? We don't have that. Okay.
Okay. Comments from citizens. Presentations to citizens. Agenda items. Okay. We want to get to John pretty soon. Reports of staff.
Any of those?
I just want to know if we get to you.
Somebody gets paid on all that.
Well, we'll move it right along here. If there's any questions on my report, I'd be happy to answer them. My life has revolved in the past 30 days around the bridge and the bridge rehabilitation project. Also pursuing funding for the main span rehabilitation project. In addition to that, we're wrapping up the North Country Transportation Needs Study and Comprehensive Master Plan. We've engaged the City of Ogdensburg on a number of infrastructure issues. Continue our outreach, continue to try and grow businesses in the park, and I've spent a lot of time on the request for proposal for a fixed-based operator, which you'll see today as well.
I'd just like to comment on one thing that I might have made on the bridge. Everybody will know on this, we're very close to it becoming a reality here on the 31st of March. It looks like we're going to be sitting down with the board at 7:30 for an executive session, and at 8 o'clock vote on a resolution to approve the construction of the bridge. In the reason for the date of the 31st being picked is because of the bond money that was approved years ago by Senator Wright. As an earmark, it has to be used before the March 31st. So it's an important date for us. We're still working on the final financing. Ray has been constantly working on it. He doesn't even get any sleep because I call him in the middle of the night when I get up thinking about it. But we're very close, and we hope to have better news on the 31st. But we do have good news. We're going to have a project if you people approve it at that time. So we're just going to work continuously on it until then. But everything looks good. And we should be hitting a home run here on the 31st, so
it starts at 7:30 and 8.
7:30 is going to be an executive session. I'm just saying out front, for the press can be here they can be here at 7:30. But 8 o'clock, we will be passing, that one special meeting will be for that particular issue. We don't have all the things tied right now. It's awful close.
Got it.
Okay? So I wanted to thank all the staff people here.
I'd like to add just one thing to that, if I could, Mr. Chairman, specifically our federal, state, and administrative officials within the state have been extremely helpful to this point, and they should be recognized accordingly.
We'll fill us in on everything at 7:30 on that date. It's just a couple of things we got to tighten up. Any questions of wage report beyond that?
Nope.
Okay. Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Marshall.
Okay, the financial statements are on page 8. And as I mentioned last month, we were under budget for year to date. And I told you that was timing differences. As you can see, through January, we are now $76,000 exceeding our budgeted figure. So that's a positive sign with 2 months to go. And we don't expect a whole lot of variance from there for the last 2 months, so should be okay for the year. The bridge traffic report is attached for 11 months, and you see we're up about 5%. Page 9, 4.87% for the year. Overall, trucks are down slightly, and the autos are slightly. And the operating budget was approved last month. We received it earlier in the month, and we now have 1 month to go in that. Well, 2 weeks ago in that year, so approvals came in for the end of the year.
Just in time. Just in time.
At the time that the other ones submitted.
The other one's been in there for 90 days now, almost. Yeah.
This amazes me. I don't know who does this way.
New York.
So now we'll work on next year's. And along with the certificates of approval, we also received signed copy of the fourth supplement agreement for the repayment. Ramona, that's a repayment agreement we have with the state for the construction of the bridge and for some port expenditures. I think we owe them $19 million, and we pay about $75,000 a year for the next 4 or 5 years. I think it runs 5 years. And that's due March 31st, that $75,000 payment. The other big thing there is we have an option to defer that, well, actually not to defer it, but to not make a payment annually if we, circumstances see fit. So I guess...
And the last time we did that was when they raised our insurance sky high after terrorist attacks. So we got insurance over them.
3 out of 4 years, we received approval not to pay it about 5 years ago. So back in the early 2000s, 2001, 2.
But it started when our insurance payment had gone so sky high, they're eating into our budget.
Did you want to mention the subject of insurance premium was raised? I don't want to bring that up out of order here, but do you want to mention anything about that? In the bridge insurance? Sector dropped on the...
Well, nothing's changed since last month, but we're still going through trying to get travelers or whomever that covers for the April 30th renewals. So,
We have a limited market for that.
I think that everything but the GL has got a wide market.
Okay.
So the GL might have a rather limited market. So I think there'll only be that one policy expiring. Of course, the bridge has a very limited market. That doesn't renew until July 1st, though. Or August 1st, one or the other.
Was I wrong on that particular issue when you're talking about the bridge insurance when we thought we could go to other carriers to give us a price on it? The issue come up that there was only travelers anyways, and they couldn't cross. The other insurance companies couldn't.
Once one of the brokers uses a market, say travelers,
Right.
the guy next door, the next broker can't get into that market unless you sign a letter saying they are now a broker. Yeah.
You think there's anything in the health care bill that might help us with that?
Well, actually, that was taken care of. What was the name of the huge lawsuit, or the huge insurance firm, and you'll know off the top of your head, not escaping. That was the Attorney General, when Spitzer was our Attorney General, actually did a huge investigation into the locking of markets. Whitmarsh, Marsh McLennan, and exposed some of the less than savory tactics and no longer allow them, so.
Okay, Mark, so that's it.
For the budget, let's see, budget for next year. The workers' comp premium came in, $36,800 for the year, which is right around where it was last year. So that's been great, and that is about it. We'll be busy with the year end here pretty quick in the upcoming audit.
Okay. Moving on. Director.
There's a good short-term lease with Walmart stores on the agenda for a couple buildings down at the port to help the port out. We've got 3 or 4 inquiries for vessel and route shipments, principally revolving around agricultural feeds and fertilizers that we're working on. Still pursuing barge shipments with 3 Rivers, continue meeting with farmers and the broker pushing it. So that's still a possibility. Continue working with wind turbine developers. As Reed mentioned, the freight need study is finally complete. We should have that all wrapped up in hand next month. I think it's a halfway decent report once you can see the final product. Working with 3 or 4 different tenants on space needs issues, and we're encouraged in that area. We've conducted outreach to 3 other firms in the park just to stay on top of where they're at, contracts and stability. 2 new prospects that have been developed that we've met with. with, and one that came here showed different land and properties that they may be interested in, and promoting the foreign trade zone with just reaching out to existing companies in the county in anticipation of the boundaries of the foreign trade zone being expanded, the service territory. Expo this weekend.
When we handled the wind turbines, we had to reactivate which zone?
Trade zone.
We spent
Well, we
trade zone.
had a bond that had lapsed, the foreign trade zone bond,
Right.
that $500 bond or whatever the we do keep that active.
That's what my next question. We've maintained that since.
And we can expand that to other places in the county, right?
Once the new, it's pending right now, the application to allow us to expand the service territory to include all businesses in St. Louis County.
It's pending where? You say it's pending?
It's pending with the Foreign Trade Zones Board.
Do we know how many, when do we
For
expect an
60,
answer?
90 days, and it's probably been in for 45 days or so.
It's on the federal level?
Yeah.
Okay. John, on this, I've been asked about several times by different folks in the city and stuff, the county, about the Social Security building being moved from our facility, Commerce Park, downtown, wherever, I don't know where it's going. I don't even know where it's going. When is the deadline on that, and when is this property over here going to be available?
End of October?
Yes. So it'll be completely done? So we can start marketing that now?
Yes. And anybody we talk to, we're mentioning it too. Yeah.
Okay. Because people have asked me about that. Okay.
People out of curiosity or perspective?
Well, there's some people saying they don't understand why, but
Okay.
whatever. I said,
Interested citizens. Got it.
but they want to know if it's going to be available. Some of the people have asked me about it, and I said, yes, to get a hold of it. So that's good. We're going to start marketing it. You already are.
And why, what's the term or the phrase? Does anyone remember why it can't stay where it is? It has to be someplace localized or centralized, or what's the
We're
term?
citing an executive order that was put out under the Carter administration.
Right.
That it has to be located in the central business district.
Central Business District, that's it.
How about a movie theater? Okay. Steve Lawrence.
I'll just give you a couple, just really update some progress and dates and things like that, but everything on there pretty well know about. On the bifold door project, that project's probably 95% complete, and I hope to do a walkthrough inspection on that at the end of the week. So that'll go away. That'll be all complete. Let's see. And in the port there, you're going to see we've got a proposal for a conveyor system for warehouse P8, and we've talked with the facilities committee on that. And when that comes up, I can answer your questions on that. The Port Street property is down, and the only thing remains is some landscape. I've got to bring in some fill, and weather permits, they'll get the mulch and seeding down and take care of that. I guess that's kind of everything I wanted to update with you. Any questions?
Steve, go ahead.
It's okay. No, go ahead. My aunt who lives next door said thank you, and it was a very good job, and she has a much better view now.
Well, she's been great. With all that, I think we did her some favors because she said things she didn't like about some trees, things like that. The only thing is there's one stump there. We're afraid of damaging the driveway.
Yeah.
So we're just going to get it right down there and cover it over. So.
She's ecstatic. It's a nice flower pot on top of it.
Okay, I do.
Steve, on that demo product and all the waste and everything, all of that went to the landfill?
Yes, we've got all the delivery receipts that went to the Rodman landfill. They were sent direct.
So all the tonnage and everything comes up with the numbers?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the only thing I have. Anybody else? I guess we can. We'll go right to the Facilities Committee report.
Trade and Facilities Committee met at 7:30. Based on our meeting this morning, the request for proposals for fixed-based operator actually are going to be put on the agenda for the board to consider. We don't talk about specifics of that, but in the interim, our committee meeting was helpful because we've added a few other items, and we'll discuss those when we get there for other considerations for the proposal. As to the port, the engineering agreement with Tisdale was approved to be on today's today's board meeting agenda as well, and that's for re-roofing the west side of the port building. What number? Number 6. Number 6.
Yep.
The design agreement with Agri Systems was on the Facilities Committee agenda. That had to do with the DANK grant of $15,000. And the importance of that was to do some engineering studies and inspection of the site with regard to Building 8 down at the port for use in integration with a smaller conveyor to service that building. That is on today's agenda, board agenda. It's been approved by the Facilities Committee. And the last item, the purchase of a vehicle, we've tabled for further consideration as to changing or looking at our policy in acquiring vehicles, or at least small passenger vehicles, hopefully using local vendors or the possibility of using local vendors. And we'll get back to you on that after we discuss that. So that was basically our meeting today, was to make sure we could get these things on today's agenda.
Any questions of Mary's report? Okay, Finance Committee?
I reviewed the packets of abstracts that Mark had sent to me, and everything looked fine. Everything looked fine.
Good, thank you. Personnel Committee report, Mr. Machi is out of state, and the Personnel Committee has met, and I'll have Wade bring you up to date on some of that, and some of it we have to do in the executive session.
Sure. There was one issue that came out of the meeting with a consensus of the committee relative to the per diem or temporary toll collectors wage rate proposal that's before you this morning. In addition, there was one item that I can update the board on in executive session, personnel matter.
And then up to upgrading the toll booth temporary people was approved by the Personnel Committee.
We had, you know what, I hate to backtrack and I apologize, I'm out of order. The Facilities Committee also had one other matters as may come before the committee, and that is in our packet today too. It's the CNS Engineering to approve a $31,500 full-time construction oversight contract, and that was part of the PAPI construction. This is kind of for housekeeping purposes. I apologize for not remembering to.
Well, no, thank you for catching that. Did you want to talk about the cars at all? That was on.
I can. There's last year's budget, which ends momentarily, that we had approved in the budget, or we were put in the budget to buy another passenger vehicle. Clearly, our passenger vehicles are getting old. Under the state contract, we were given a state rate of about $18,000 to buy a Dodge Caravan. In looking over who would actually get the state contract, we're looking at mega dealers mostly. The dealer we last used, which was Dodge Group out of Albany. And we inquired further as to whether or not local dealers could be included in being considered for the state contract. And the answer is yes, but for the most part, most of the dealers cannot or will not, for whatever reason, match that dollar amount. But nobody had actually reached out. So Steve graciously offered he would reach out to some of our local dealers and see if they were interested. We learned today that the state contract rate is a certain dollar amount, and on top of that, then for someone like Albany Dodge to drive the van up, It's like another $604 for delivery because it's obviously to bring the van up and then they have to bring a second person up to take them back. So we're looking at not only hoping to see if a local dealer has any interest or can match or come close to that price, but also possibly changing our procurement procedures, not to overspend, but to try to use our local vendors and merchants in a more cost-effective way. So that's what we're looking at, and once we have some more discussions on that, we'll get back to the full board.
Wouldn't that require you to put it out to bid though?
It may, yes. Mm-hmm.
Because the state contract
Yeah.
doesn't have to bid.
Right. And they only have certain people on them.
Yeah, I know, but they bid it on the contract.
Right.
It happens at the county level too.
Yep.
Or whatever you need that you can provide from the county.
Absolutely, that's right. And we have in the past just used them.
And we may have to continue.
Yeah.
Well, depends on your specifications for your vehicle, and you send it out you put it out for bid, if they can match.
We're hoping someone local. I mean, the economy is bad enough that we certainly wouldn't want to add to.
Well, the kind of vehicles you're looking at aren't the kind that can't be sold by a local dealer.
Right.
If you were looking at a tandem dump truck or something like that, you've got all of one kind. You know you don't want an opposite kind. You don't want a Volvo to get all internationals, so you got to draw your specifications to get to where you're changing parts and stuff. So I think you might be successful. But you might
we would like
reach outside of St. Lawrence County.
But we would like to look at people who are more local than if they can come up with and meet and come close to those contract figures.
Okay, thanks, Mayor, for the update and discussion on that. Unfinished business.
There is none.
If it's an activities,
Just a reminder, one thing that isn't reflected in the list here is the March 31st, which is a Wednesday, 7:30 a.m. Executive session, special purpose meeting regarding the bridge with an 8 a.m. Board meeting.
And an 8:30 stop.
Yes.
No, the reason I'm saying that is, my understanding is we're constrained by a quorum, but 8:30 will have to be done. So it behooves us not to have people show up late, right?
As things stand right at this moment, I still have not heard back from two board members at this point. One I know is out of town, and the other I'm not sure of.
I'm not here.
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
So we have,
Ray, you won't need me for a meeting, correct?
no.
I don't think so, Frank.
Because I already got an 8:30 that day.
Can you get to 31st? You can't, right? Yeah, you can.
So we're actually got a quorum right here that will be available for that meeting. So the other two,
Looks like we're set.
I'm not sure where Roger is. I have no idea at all.
He doesn't usually come back, though, until...
No, but I say I don't have any idea,
Right, got it.
I thought he'd come back early when he found out it was 40 degrees here and 32 in his town in Florida.
He's a diehard.
Okay, I guess we can go right straight to the business items, excuse me. General Administration, go ahead.
Under General Administration, there are 3 items for consideration today. The first is a New York State Administrative Services Assessment. This is the $66,490 bill that we received. The New York State Department of Budget. It is due March 31st, 2010. I have a couple issues with this. Number one, our CFO has reached out since our original discussion on this, trying to receive background and schedule information. Has not been able to do that. Was told that that information would not be provided. As a result, I submitted a formal request on behalf of the authority. We're not in the habit of paying bills that we don't know what it's for. I would like to know what this bill is for, and as a result, I'd like to recommend that we table this until we get some kind of backup.
Have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mary, seconded by Don. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Should we send a letter letting them know why your board has tabled this, because we still don't have any answers and it will impact our future budgeting?
I can draft that. I'll draft that letter and submit it by the March 31st deadline.
Then they won't think we're just ignoring it.
But we have here the Division of Budget assessing this. These are the same people that hold up approving our budget for a year.
Yeah.
Again, this is crazy. I don't see how anybody can operate this way.
There's a whole bunch of folks doing the same thing as that we're doing. I don't know if they went as far as Wade has with the FOIA request, all that stuff. But with the other board I sit on for the state of New York just got hit for $238,000.
Had they previously had those?
Yeah, at the same time we got ours, they got
No,
theirs.
previously, this is kind of
It's the first time.
First time.
Oh, this is our first time.
Their first time.
And this is similar to what all the IDAs,
The same thing.
This, the only reason why you got your bill is they're trying to raise whatever money they can raise because of the state budget.
And that's fine, especially when it is in the statutory enactment for us, but I think we have every right to find out how they computed the dollar amount they're asking for.
Senator Overton, I read an article saying they were trying to go back to the well, take care of this so that nobody have to pay. I don't know where that's going to end up. You'd have to pass different legislation retroactively.
I just like to make sure the letter goes out so that they don't think we've ignored it, and what our I'm not going to say our objection is, but what our big concerns are, especially knowing that we have future budgets we have to prepare for, and if we don't know how they're calculating it, we don't know how to budget for it in the future. And certainly this wasn't budgeted for in the past budget.
Well, I think we can address in the letter, Mary, that when we sent it, the resolution was tabled that was put here for their request for that money until we get this information that we requested. And once that information is given to us, then we'll probably pass the
Well, we'll
resolution.
get the resolution back for the board.
Right.
In the letter, now it'll show up on the unfinished business next time.
Wade, you should lean heavily on the fact that we are accountable for how we spend our money. We have no way of judging whether or not we will be in charge appropriately.
And this is the public fisc that we are trustees
Public
of.
on both sides, but you still they could hold you at fault for paying a bill for not knowing why you're paying it.
No,
In our next audit by the Division of Budget?
Yeah. Well, when they get to an audit, they can't do a budget for it. Then Controller's Office might.
Who audits that?
That's one of my concerns right there, Frank. I mean, you hit it right on the head. How do you know without any backup that 66,000 is the correct number? I mean, is it 6,600 and there's a typo in there, or is it conversely?
This is going to come out of
100,000. But
But that's the problem. If it's going to come every year, we're going to have to know how to prepare for it every year for our budgeting in order to be good stewards of the public fisc.
That's why we need the information.
Mary, the legislation is so loose. They can
Oh, absolutely.
the scenario they want.
But fine,
Computation.
let's see what the computation analysis is, and let's make sure that everyone's being computed on the same analysis.
It would be interesting to see the computation this year and see how they do it the following year. See if they stay consistent, or if it just is whatever they decide they need to raise this
They
particular
do 2%
year.
of assets one year and 3% of bonds, and yeah.
This is worse than the pension fund.
At least you know you have to write a check for that, huh?
Just don't know how much.
Well, Frank, I mean, I say that, well, we're going to they deferred it for how many years, then all of a sudden they send us a bill.
The problem is that we're making too much money didn't need to pay. And I said to that board,
gonna come back and bite
I will
us.
call up and see if we can put a fund aside for that.
That's
And
right.
so you cannot have a fund to pay a future bill, even though we know you're going to get one.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden we get a bill in the mail.
Yeah, I remember that.
And our budget's worse than yours because there's not a lot of flexibility, so you take it out of somebody else's account and pay the bill.
So let's go, we got to that. So that was tabled.
Item A2 is approval of a supplemental agreement with the Stevens Media Group, that's a radio station here in the building, for 1,434 square feet. The lease expires March 31st, 2010. We're proposing the rates that you see there in front of you. Requires proof of appropriate insurance and naming the Bridge and Port Authority as additional insured.
Did our prior lease also give us the add benefits and things?
Yes, that's correct.
When you make that motion?
Yes, I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
second.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm impressed by this next one. On agenda item A3, we figured out a way how to rent the roof.
Danny Dupree had one of these, so I'm going to let you present it, and then I'm going to give you the same question I gave before Danny Dupree when we had the same.
Oh, you quit looking at the minutes.
I have too good of a memory.
I know.
Before.
This is for the roof of the Bridge Administration Building for a 5-year term at the rate of $100 per year per easement.
Well, Al Gore, who invented the internet, got a question for you. I heard the same question many years ago. I think it's great that putting satellite dishes up there and antenna, and we're getting rental space for them. And I asked him to make sure in that lease agreement that we added language that we would have and be recompensed for removal of those items when they either became obsolete or they no longer were our tenants. And for two reasons. Number one, we don't want gaping holes up there where we're going to be a sieve. And we also don't want obsolete equipment being left up there because it's too much of a pain to take it down. He agreed. I don't think that that's in here, but I'm not saying it's not. Can anybody answer that?
Also, it should be under the supervision of our superintendent, only because
To be approved that they're putting it on correctly. Yeah.
if there's any other damage other than the installation, who's going to fix it?
Well, I want to make sure that they're using appropriate
I don't know
hardware.
what kind of roofing we have, but I know in the town of Potsdam, somebody steps on our roof, depending on the time of the year, considerable damage. Water damage, everything else can happen.
I would suggest that we add that right in the resolution section.
lease.
It's in the original lease?
Just a supplement to it, so everything that's in the original lease.
So somebody has no, okay.
Covers all that, Mary?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's right in the, in the supplement.
So I guess it's covered, Mary.
Then I'll make the motion.
And do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Want to second it? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
And the next item is Port of Ogdensburg, approval of industrial building lease. This is a building lease agreement with Walmart Stores East, LP. This is for 35,000 square feet of warehouse space at the Port of Ogdensburg. The term on this agreement is May 1st, 2010 through August 31st, 2010. Total rental amount is $67,400, which includes the cost of utility. There is a catch. The catch here is that the OBPA is required to pay the broker, Walmart's broker, a $10,000 commission from the proceeds of the $67,400 rent.
We talked before about not setting precedent for paying brokers, and we've done this before on other issues. Is there a way we can knock down their lease and say, okay, instead of the rental amount of $67,400, we'll make it $57,400, and you pay your own broker?
Unfortunately not. With Walmart, this is their broker. If we want the revenue from this, it comes down.
Why do they care whose pocket it comes from, as long as the $10,000?
I can give you an example from the state of New York. I represented clients who rented to Environmental Conservation. They do the same thing.
And we've had it happen to us with the
They state that a particular broker, they didn't negotiate one sentence of the lease. I did it with the attorney on the other side, and yet we ended up having to pay them. Because they, quote, have a blanket deal, whoever set it up, in the state of New York, to do all leasing.
Okay, now I'm going to...
And it bothered me.
Mark's going to get sucked into this, because I know when I've done real estate deals before, I've actually paid the other side's fees. And they looked at me like I'm nuts, and I said, no, it's a tax deduction. Now, we can't take this as a tax deduction. No, Walmart can. So why wouldn't Walmart say, okay, we'll take the $57,400 deal, we'll pay the $10,000, and we'll mark it as a tax deduction on our taxes?
They're a very structured operation.
Step over a penny, $1 to pick up a penny, what do they say?
There's no doubt about it. I didn't deal with them when we did Potsdam. We had another lawyer, but if you wanted them there, they would make certain concessions on how they designed the building and stuff, but they wouldn't negotiate size. They wouldn't negotiate anything else.
Well, I'm not a fool. I don't want to walk away from this. I don't want to set a precedent. And as long as somebody gets paid the $10,000, I don't know why it has to come from our end.
Yeah, I don't think it's a precedent that anybody can rely on. This is such a short-term lease.
No, I agree.
In an extreme amount of money.
A good amount of money.
Yeah.
Good amount.
Let me ask this question, John. You ever want to throw this up?
Yes.
So what's the deal here? Why is this got to be done this way? I mean, why would we want to do anything like this now?
So that's the way Walmart does it with all their leases. That's,
So you're going to get a check from Walmart for $67,000?
We'll put 57 in a kitty and we'll send 10 back out there.
And we're going to write a check to a broker for him coming in here driving the
did they actually do that? They come and talk to you?
Well, I just want to share.
I walk through the building and that.
I just want to share with you folks on my side of it. I don't believe in brokers doing this type of loop. And I'll tell you why, Frank. We ended this at our pension fund and health and welfare fund. Brokers no longer. They want a broker, and they pay the broker. They were doing doing the same thing with our pension health and wealth fund, and every time they try to keep going up higher. And our auditors saying, you know, you got people going out there selling a plan to us, and then we're turning around buying the plan, and then we're paying the broker out of the fund. We stopped that. And the list will come in and say we did the right thing. If someone with DOL will say we did the right thing. My point of view here is if they've got a broker system, then they should pay the broker. As simple as that. I don't want to walk away from a lease for $57,000, but I don't want to get involved in these brokers. I really don't want to get involved in these brokers.
I'm not comfortable with them.
In the future, can you pass on some sort of a, hey, what about we shift the numbers and you pay the 10 out of your, I mean, has anyone suggested that?
That's clear. I mean, we're 100% clear on that. That, you know, aside from GSA, where we can't possibly get away from the broker scenario, we should not be using the broker.
But we're not using brokers. They are. So we're on the hook to pay.
We're paying for it. You know, that really bothers me.
Mark, on a tax basis, can you think of a reason why Walmart wouldn't want it to be a professional service so they could take a deduction for it?
I think it would be a wash.
It doesn't matter.
I think in this case, we negotiated a way.
I know this. Yeah, well, we negotiated and that's what they agreed to, including utilities, and then that was on top, so it's just...
So you negotiated with $7.4?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that was on top of that.
You're not paying them. It's not coming out.
Right, I understand that.
Yeah.
No, but it's an in-the-round way of coming out here. You know what I'm talking about? You know, Walmart's going to cut us a check. That's all they know is for space. And then in turn, the agreement that you negotiated, you got to cut a check to XYZ broker of $10,000. We do. Okay. Now the comptroller comes in and says, how come you've done it this way? Why would you people be, you know, paying brokers? I don't know what deal this broker's cut a deal with this company. I don't know what he's done. I don't know who he is. I don't know if he's a legit broker. Has he got a license? Has he got this? Has he got that? I'll throw all the wonderful questions at you. When you're sitting there in front of somebody saying, why? And you say, well, did you check to see if he was a licensed broker in the state of New York? Does he pay taxes in the state of New York? What's the whole windows about these brokers? They're nightmares. I don't like it. Okay? I really don't like it.
So we like the revenue.
I really don't.
Any chance the broker's a subsidiary of Walmart?
Again, that's one of those things you don't know. You want to mention about the check? You want to read the check a couple weeks ago. We got this check for the rent and the security deposit, so.
You have to,
The full amount, the 87 full amount for that.
well, I begrudgingly make the motion. I don't like it.
I'll say.
Why would you do that? Why would you put the board in that position knowing that the resolution hadn't been passed and you accepted the money? And
That's in the vault. We haven't accepted that. No, they just sent the check. We received the check. It's sitting in the vault. We haven't done anything with it yet until
You can turn it
found
down.
out what we're doing.
Like, you know, I really
obligates the board.
Well, what I'm going to do, I got a motion to approve it, and I got a second to approve it. I'm going to ask you to table this check control. I want it in writing that they don't have a problem with it, the controller's office. I just don't like this. I don't like this whatsoever. I've had experiences with this stuff. Trust me.
When do they want to take possession of the building, though? May 1st.
We got time to do it. We can get a letter out to today to the controller. Somebody. You know, as Frank said, this is the way it's being done. That's fine. Who is the broker? What company is it?
Jerome International.
If you didn't look at them, where are they? Where are they located? Oh, they're in Rochester. Yeah. I definitely would check it out. I just don't want to get in a twist here.
I think it's distinguishable from your pension system deal, Fred, in that respect, because it's not involving somebody else's money, which is when pension money are put in, it's somebody else's money once they're put in a fund. And you were spending money to hire a broker to find you an investment. I think that's a lot different than this one right
Well, it
here.
probably is, but I'm just saying about certain brokers, we ask them, are they a licensed broker? Are they, they have to have that kind of stuff in the state of New York. It just can't be just anybody. I mean, I deal with brokers all the time. I'm not saying they're bad people. I just like to make sure we're doing the right thing here with the authority, the way we're doing this thing. I don't want to be used as I guess I don't want to say it that way.
The last time we sent the comptroller a letter asking for their opinion in the details, they don't give us advisory opinion.
That's correct.
What was the last one we sent them a letter on?
It was on the Riverbank.
Yes. So whether we could sign that agreement and be kosher.
Yeah. Well, but like you said, we make a motion to approve it, we've got a second, but like you said, in your motion you said, we don't like this, we're not comfortable with it. I just want to go this a little bit extra to make sure that we're right. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with tabling this to the April 7th meeting. So the motion is, that's what I'd like to do. You have a problem with that?
No, I'll make the motion to table it. I suppose we have to rescind my motion.
No, we'll just hold the motion, that's all. We won't vote on it until we check out that part of it.
Table motion would take precedence over the standing motion. You wouldn't have to withdraw.
Okay.
So Mary made the table. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Just a general quick question related to this. Given the response time of the controller's office, they're always helpful. Don't get me wrong there. I guess we'll deal with it on April 6th.
But they're not speedy.
I anticipate that we will not have an answer from the controller's office.
But maybe I can help you get an answer. I'll talk to you about it.
Okay. Thank you.
If you want to check on the company, you go on to the website, Department of State.
Right.
You type in their name. If they're an organization, they'll tell you where their headquarters are, who's the chief operating officer. They'll give you a little bit of information.
Well, I'm clear, but the directive from the board was to check this out through the controller's
I don't
office.
think you're going to answer. I don't think you're going to answer.
At least on a timely one.
Unless you know somebody in their legal department that you can call and ask. I think you'd ask the question, but you can send it in writing. They're like the other organizations. You use 60, 90, 120 days.
Well, maybe Frank afterwards will talk about it and make the progress.
I don't think it's illegal because the state of New York does it themselves. So I don't know why they would say it would be illegal for another offshoot of the state to do it. But that's their general service organization does it.
My concern is that on April 6th, we're going to have to do something about this, even if it's unpalatable.
Yeah.
Turning away revenue, greatly needed
I'm not
revenue,
looking to turn away the revenue.
or accepting.
My question is they're giving us money from the corporate, and then we're turning around paying a broker.
Well,
If that's,
the negotiated lease rate, remember, the lease was $57,400. And what they're saying
but
is,
the broker negotiated the lease.
yeah, and Walmart says, we want you to pay the broker, so we'll pay for this fee on top. It's a wash money. I don't know.
The lease is 57.4. They're saying we'll give you 67.4 and you have to give $10,000 out to the broker.
You're paying the broker.
And Walmart is saying that.
Well, they must have. They didn't go.
I don't know. They said that.
They're the ones signing.
You got that?
Well, the broker, on my way here, the broker saying that because we've had no direct contact with Walmart. It's always been broke.
Well, I believe there's something in an email where they indicate where they actually objected to the amount of it. There was a Walmart contact on there, and they thought it should be half of that.
Who thought it should be half of what?
Walmart.
Thought it should be only $5,000 for the broker, not 10?
And they said, I think it said they had to check back with their management or whatever, and then Walmart signed a lease, so.
So Walmart just signed something that you had that?
Walmart has already signed the lease.
Have you had that?
Yes.
Where was that at?
It's there.
I'd like to see it. Maybe we'll pass this motion.
Do you want to move on to the engineering agreement?
Well, the report on this, above the resolution, says total rental amount of 67.4, but we're hearing 57.4 now.
That's because the rental amount says 67.4. That's what the lease will say.
And I think that's Fred's problem, right? Because it looks like the actual lease is...
We should be netting the 67 where we're not. We're netting 57.
Is that what you're...
Yeah. So a guy comes in and does 15, 20 minutes worth of negotiations. You don't pay him $10,000. But if that's what we want, if they say do it, we'll do it. There's still going to be a check that we're going to do, and I'm telling you, while I have the background, keep the tape.
Yeah, so it should say rental amount. That's what you're saying as far as clarity.
Yeah.
That's what I understood from Frank, that it's really 57.4.
Well, that's what they were saying. Yeah, this was reiterated.
But he is saying that Walmart has agreed to pay them $10,000. But they want to use us to do it. That's fine. They want to build that into the thing. Let them tell us that.
You have a signature on the document, correct?
That we did.
There should be 3 copies of the agreement attached.
Commission agreement.
Oh, this is the draft, that's right. I've got the other ones up there. You've got, when did that you down there? The originals? Yeah.
Let's go with the rest of it and we'll come back to it, all right?
Yep.
Thank you.
Approval of that item is approval of an engineering agreement with Tisdale Associates. Item B2, this is for Port Building 6 re-roofing project at the Port of Ogdensburg. The fee provided for the services ranges between $5,000 and $6,000 on this. And this is a re-roofing 20,000 square foot building at the Port of Ogdensburg, specifically Building 6. Sorry.
And this is one of the items that was before the facilities committee, and we referred it to the full board. I'll make the motion.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed unanimously.
Item B3, special note on this item. This is agreement with Agri Systems. This is for the small conveyor. This is not the larger conveyor that we've talked about in the past. What this references a $15,000 grant from Development Authority of the North Country via Senator Griffo's efforts to assist the authority in product handling. What we have here is the $15,000 grant. Agri Systems, we've talked to them. At present, there's a proposal out there for $10,565. We'd like to expand that out to encompass the $15,000 grant amount at the end of the day. And it's important to note that this is for design only on the conveyor systems.
This also went before the facilities committee this morning.
Okay. The report to the expanded scope of work will result in added fees.
Yes.
Any approximation of what that might be?
Steve,
No, we wouldn't authorize any. What may come up is some other things that we may want to be looked at or added to this.
The basic order?
Yeah, basically. What we do is if we have to get an estimate there. The idea is some small things that we may want to add that would really add to the design.
Walmart signed it, saying that it's a 67, 10 go.
Are there any other questions relative to the agreement with Agri Systems?
No. Motion's in order to approve.
What the facilities committee did want to make sure that Steve was going to work with this engineering group and let them know that we were still interested in, or were interested in adding a very large conveyor system down there. And so hopefully when they look at this building and design for the small conveyor, that they'll also take into account and consideration the fact that we are looking at expanding our operations for conveyor system. So hopefully we'll be able to meld the two of them together. I'll make the motion.
Can I second? John, second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Passed unanimously. We have two other add-ons, I think, whatever.
Yes, do you want to back up and go to the Walmart one?
Yeah, just keep that item going forward.
We do have some other such matters this morning for consideration. The first is item C1, is approval of a maintenance agreement with the Revenue Markets Incorporated. This is an annual maintenance contract for the toll system in the amount of $14,160, and this is the fifth consecutive year at this price.
Are we happy with their service?
Yeah.
Mark?
Yeah, they did a really good job.
And how will this be affected, if any way, by our fixed base operator? What doesn't affect the fueling system, it only affects our toll booths, that's right?
But this is just for the bridge toll system software.
No, they actually...
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Who's going to check for
8740.
87? Okay. So yes.
I'm ready for a motion.
Mary and Mona, motion and second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
The second item under other such matters is approval of a cost-plus fixed fee agreement with C&S Engineers. In the process of doing the project, one contract was overlooked. That was for the construction and full-time construction observation during the PAPI project with C&S Engineers. Total dollar amount on this is $31,508. And the project recap is going to be 95, 2.5 between FAA, New York State DOT, and OBPA.
Any questions? Motion's in order.
I'll make the motion.
And second.
Okay, thank you.
These extras were the facilities, great, the general.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This one.
We have two other such matters remaining. The next item would be C3, approval of a per diem toll collector rate adjustment. This went before the Personnel Committee and was recommended by the Personnel Committee and staff. Background on this is when a full-time toll collector takes a vacation day, a sick day, or is out of pocket for military service, a variety of other things. To fill that vacancy, what we do is we use the per diem or temporary toll collectors. Wage rate is $7.25 an hour, minimum wage. If we can't get the per diem toll collector to cover the slot, what we do is we use our CSEA Grade 9 maintenance assistant relief toll collectors. Average wage rate is $20.85 an hour, but when we call them, it's typically at $31.28 overtime rate. So it makes sense for us to look at this and raise the wage rate from $7.25 per hour on the per diem temporary toll collectors to $11.50 per hour without scale. This results in a maximum annual additional cost to the authority of $3,600. And we feel it's a solution that appropriately compensates the per diem toll collectors while at the same time saving the authority money by not putting the overtime rate of $31.28.
Now, then the point is to move it from 7.25 to 11.5 because we think people who otherwise would turn down the assignment would come in. Is that the point?
We would be able to fill more, it is our opinion, we would be able to fill more shifts with the per diem temporary toll collectors if the wage rate moved from $7.25 an hour to $11.50 per hour.
So people are rejecting it now because it's not worth their while. Yeah.
Patty shaking her head yes. So
Yeah, I'm looking over her too.
but that's the way it happens. Correct.
And you're talking about the odd time shifts too, not daytime shifts. You're talking about the graveyard type shifts.
And this obviously went before the Personnel Committee and they approved this? I'm
This went
assuming.
before the Personnel Committee, and it was approved.
Oh, you want to speak on it? You were there.
No, that was one of the reasons, non-monetary reasons that they were having a problem putting their hair out trying to fill some of those odd times, and just that little bit of a differential in the hourly rate would make a big difference.
We hope.
Yeah, we hope.
This is also, one other point I forgot to mention, this is also consistent with Thousand Islands as well.
I was just going to ask, why did we go from $7.25 to $11.50 and not $13 an hour, for example? I mean, are we following? I know it's 65 represents 65% of the 17.
Well, originally we just targeted 65% of 1776, and they happened to come out to be $11.50, and that's right.
But why 65% of the CSEA grade 9? I mean, I don't know. You figured it had to be more than half, and
We just use it kind of
this is a borderline?
Yeah.
There's really no intelligence behind the 65%.
Personally, I don't know if it's enough. I hate to say that, but we might as well try it. I mean, we can always raise it if we have to.
You can always readjust again.
So I will make the motion.
I'll second.
Any other questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimously. Thank you.
There's nothing on here about this.
Right, because the RFPs typically aren't approved by the board, but I've got the RFPs, I figured do a discussion and just have...
No, why don't we ask and make sure the board's... Great. Great.
The Facilities Committee, let me back up half a step. Our procurement policies, when we do a request for proposal, typically don't put them before the board. This case is a little bit different. With discussion with the Facilities Committee Chair, felt it was appropriate to bring it before the key elements of the proposal. The proposal itself would be a successful contract would be on a 5-year term with 5-year renewals. The successful proposer would have the ability to fuel the Jet A if they so chose at the facility. We make sure that the successful proposer at the end of the day had the appropriate security deposits on file, the appropriate licenses and permits to dispense fuel. Target date at this point, we'd like to see somebody fully operational by 8 a.m. July 1st, 2010. Probably the most important thing is the schedule on the front page of the document outlines when mandatory meetings would be, the responses to the written questions, our evaluation period, and the overall timeline. I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has. Am I leaving anything else?
Well, the only thing I wanted to add that's not in the... We've revised this, or Wade has revised this for everyone to take a look at based on input from the Facilities Committee. But today, in our last go-round at the Facilities Committee meeting, we are going to add a section, maybe on the very last page, like G, that talks about TSA screening. So whoever the proposers may be will realize that not only will they have to pass TSA screening, but also any employees that they desire to hire. And Fred mentioned the fact that he was concerned about subleasing. He doesn't like somebody coming, little guy coming in, or big guy coming in, buying one of these up and then reselling it. So Wade assured him that the ground lease, which is one of the attachments, actually has what our requirements are for subleasing. So I think with those, with those additions, you guys are fully up to speed as to what went through the Facilities Committee this morning.
Do I have a motion to approve it?
It's not on our agenda.
It's not really anything that we have a motion to approve, but
I'll be honest with you.
There's a consensus out there, we can post it. At the end of the day, we reserve the right as the authority to accept or reject any or all proposals.
My concern as Facilities Chair when this came forward, it wasn't on the agenda, was because we're kind of expanding the scope of what our historical uses of the airport and our facilities have been. I think it's important for the board to not only have input on it, but be aware of what's going on. Unlike a regular RFP for a service we already provide, this would be expanding, and so I really thought it was important that we didn't treat this like, a run-of-the-mill RFP, but rather something that the full board has knowledge of and input, too. And no offense, lots of times when these things go out, members of the public approach each one of us, and if you're caught off guard and saying, I'm not aware of what you're talking about, it doesn't look good for us either, Yeah, because there are local people who run flight schools and that sort of thing who might be interested in this sort of an RFP, put an RFP. To put a proposal in, I should say, to respond to RFP. So that was the point in kind of taking the unusual route of coming before the board, so that you were all aware and you also had some input. If you felt one way or the other on this proposal, that we would take that in consideration. What does that mean?
We'll find out that. Okay, I think at this time, we don't need a motion on it
I
then?
don't think so.
Okay, we'll just monitor. Okay.
So this should be back before the, hopefully we'll get some responses, and this should be back before the Facilities Committee, probably in the June timeframe.
Okay.
Thank you. That concludes the other such matters items, which would put us back on Walmart.
Okay. So going back to that, I have, the board has, I guess, basically all seen the agreement that was signed. It's not been executed by the executive director yet, but it seems that there are some initials by the Walmart manager's name. Is that a secretary? Initials that she signed his name?
I have no idea.
I don't think so. It's notarized.
Yeah, it's notarized.
Notarized.
So I'm asking what
PGS, is that the notary's PGS? What's the notary?
No, it's fun.
Well, that's the other one with the initials too, but...
So if she's notarized this in the back,
Maybe it be somebody
He
else's.
actually signed it.
Maybe it's
Oh, yeah, that would be,
why would there be
I don't know what that
Must
is.
be approved. Somebody else did also.
Bosses.
The
Initials
boss's
approve it.
initials. Okay.
I'm guessing.
There's a lot of internal hierarchy in the real estate portion of Walmart. There's a complete.
No, and as long as he has authority to sign it's been notarized, we're set.
I don't think the dissent should check.
And the provision actually does misstate to some extent that the rent is $67, but then the very next paragraph says that Walmart approves $10,000 of the above rent to be paid to the broker. So I
The
think
language may not be something like, but
if an auditor comes in and takes a look at that, they'll realize why 57 went into the industrial or the port revenue and not 67. They'll be able to take a look at that contract and say, okay, of the 67, 10 was approved to be sent to the broker, and that's why it didn't go into port revenue.
as I said to Fred when he asked the question outside, if it wasn't included at all, and it was just a verbal thing, I would have been reluctant to say, no, we aren't going to do that, put it in the lease. But it's already in there.
And it's been signed off by Walmart, not their broker, but by Walmart.
Okay, so,
Well, I guess maybe I'm confused. The 67.4 will go into revenue in the port. And the 10,000
the 10 also back out.
professional fees.
Yeah.
So revenue is going to be,
But where will
no, the revenue is not, that is the revenue number.
It'll come from the port revenue as well. We'll be able to trace it.
Yeah.
It's like what, when the auditor comes in, they'll know why we're only netting 57 when the lease says 67, because in the lease it says 67, but from the above rent, we'll take 10,000 and pay for it.
But that's,
If I misspoke, I apologize.
I don't think so. I don't think we misspoke on it at all. Because basically, we're not, this is going into a revenue, but the revenue part of this is only 57.4.
Net revenue.
Net. Gross is
Doesn't say that
67.
here.
Well, it wouldn't. That's an accounting function.
But it should say in our resolution.
It does, right? It does. It says 57, 67, they pay 20, and a commission fee of 10. So Fred makes a good point. So we say, further resolve, the authority shall pay for larger a commission fee of $10,000 from the $67,400 rent pursuant to the lease. How's that? Okay?
Has our secretary got that?
Yeah.
We're getting better all the time.
According to the lease.
Did the deposit come in too?
yes, all one check.
So the 80, it's actually 87.4. 87.4 come in. And the deposit's in place. So we received a check of 87.4. Now how is that going to show up on your books?
It'll be 67 in income, $20,000 liability, because what, you're
Back.
Okay.
We look at the accounts that security.
Unless they screw up somewhere.
Right.
Then we keep it.
Then we keep it.
I'll be looking. So with that, I would like to have the board make a motion to withdraw the tabling of that resolution. For we can put the other resolution back on the floor.
Draw a tabling?
No, you move
I think we just move with the amendment then.
the amendment,
And I'll do that.
the motion back,
But there was a table, a motion made and seconded to table that.
it was tabled for discussion.
Right.
Now you're going to move the motion again.
And I'll move the motion with the amendment.
Okay. We got it down pat now. Do we have a second? Don seconds it. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. The record show our two accountants approved it. On the board members. Thank you.
So all three of us are comfortably fitting under that bus at some point in time?
Well, I think it's really worth talking about and going through.
Absolutely.
It would be nice if they want this on a right basis. You take your 50
And they'll give you a policy that says absolutely not, so that if it comes up again, it's just...
Well, that's a good point, but then do we market ourselves
We
that
don't want to
way?
tie your hands like that.
Yeah, we market you.
We're just going to make sure it's done properly, and it's done properly. We've checked it, we've talked about it, we researched it, there's the agreement. Now, when you bring these to us the next time, maybe you should talk to the board before it gets out of here, or the facilities committee. This probably wouldn't have become an issue at that point.
Well, the hard part is we said,
Harry didn't see this, and none of us seen this.
I know, but you send John out there to negotiate contracts and give
Not
it.
to have to go.
It may not be to get the marriage committee. Last year, things work sometimes. And then our monthly meeting.
I think so.
As long as it gets approved.
I'll be honest with you, I still don't prefer they pay their own broker. That's their fiduciary. That's my preference.
But if you're going to do business with them, this needs to be their way.
And as long as our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed for the auditors, that's
But not to do business with the state of New York the same. So and you can tie John, I don't like the policy, John, you would ask for, because I think your hands would be tied.
That's right.
I agree. What happens next time Wednesday comes up?
Yeah, that's it. So now we turn them away.
Yeah, turn them away.
No, I think we should tell anybody that you're going to build it in this way, you're going to negotiate this way, you're going back and forth. Huh?
Not a group, it's a fair, yeah. When I checked, and everything was fine, and,
What do you mean? I don't understand what you mean you're not going to do a lease like that again.
well, there's such opposition to it.
No, there's caution here. The policy directive from the board is, in general, we do not use both. In this case was different, because if you wanted the business, you had to use
The only way they would consider, we would like them to consider differently.
Yeah, but I think
when the border station runs with the GSA. We're going to be faced with the same situation. You have a book. No, that doesn't change.
But I hope you pass by them. The board would prefer you paid your own. Is there any way we could change the lease amount? And I wouldn't say, okay, then you're not going to do that. The board won't consider it. That's not true.
They need to say that everything that we're talking about has to be reflected in the lease. That we're assuming the responsibility to pay the broker at your request.
How did we receive the money from them?
Out of the money we receive for rent.
I mean, we're big fish, really. I mean, it would look really bad if we reneged on something. But I got to tell you, as a broker, and I'm working for Walmart, I'd rather have Walmart's check than some other
Guys, the state of New York, they don't.
That's what I'm saying, because of us, but...
They're cautious.
Okay.
There is a brief need for an executive session, negotiations, discussion regarding New York State DOT.
Have a motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
We have a second. Seconded by Don. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Discussion will be notified anyone coming out of that meeting if there's anything for us.
I was yawning this morning, too. It's okay.
Actually, there should be a second copy around here somewhere.
I don't know. There's actually two of them.
They're both in the bar.
Okay.
Mark, you got checks there.